We are in the midst of a very difficult hurricane season, and this is happening for a couple of reasons. Now, my friends in climate are telling me that this is happening because of climate change. And what it's doing is it's making hurricanes faster, larger, stronger, and more deadly. So, what can you do, and what kind of things do you need to think about? Well, I want to talk about doing things before, during, and after the hurricane. You want to be prepared. So that means beforehand doing a few things, especially if you know a hurricane is coming towards you. Or this applies actually for any kind of disaster, including wildfires, which I happened to go through here in Colorado many years back, and I was glad I was prepared to do it at the time. But I learned a lot of lessons as I went along. First and foremost, your valuables. You want to make sure you put them in something that's a little bit water resistant, not necessarily waterproof, but simple Ziploc bags. It's not going to withstand everything, but it can certainly help keep them protected as best they can be. That means valuable paperwork, medicines, those things that are important to you. Put those and store them in a safe spot. On top of that, you want to make sure your family is prepared as well with food and water. That means having non perishable foods that can last 3+ days and having enough water for 3 days as well. I recommend a gallon per person per day. So for 3 days worth, if you have a family of four, that's 12 gallons. Just store it in a waterproof container, put it somewhere, and then you can access it later if you need to. And the reason behind this is because you might be a few days or possibly even a week or longer without any help. You might be on your own and you're going to need those supplies. The other most important thing is if you start hearing about evacuation, especially if emergency management personnel are giving you evacuation orders, listen to them and get out of there because they're doing that to keep you safe. And they're not doing that just because they think it's a good idea. They're doing it to make sure that you're safe and that they have the resources they need to spread around to those that might need them in situations like that. Now, there are countless stories after stories of people during disasters who don't listen to those evacuation orders, stay put, and unfortunately die during the disaster. You want to make sure you get out of there if they tell you to get out of there. But one thing to keep in mind is people are going to be rushing to the gas stations. They're going to be trying to get gas as best they can. They're going to be crowded. Stations are going to run out of gas. And so I make it a habit, especially after having gone through this wildfire disaster years ago here in Colorado, to keep my tank half full or more. When it gets down to half a tank, I treat it like an empty tank and fill it up to the brim to make sure I have enough fuel in case I need to get somewhere. That does a couple things. It lets you bypass those long lines you're going to see at gas stations, and it lets you get to an area where you can get gas more easily, especially gas that hasn't been contaminated. And so that's what you can do before the hurricane hits.